afternoon. Since I am here at a Cleantech sustainability conference, I thought I would do a little informal polling about awareness of industry media and blogs. How many people here have heard of green tech media? Raise your hand. Good amount. How about the Clean Technica blog? Okay, good amount. Women in clean tech and sustainability. Hopefully everybody will raise their hand since we are here at that event today. Here's one more. Decoding Cleantech. Anyone? Anyone? I'm not surprised because it's my blog. And it's the blog that I started in 2009 when I was looking to move into the efficiency space, or the clean tech and sustainability space. And a friend of mine from business school suggested I start a blog. And he did that because he thought it would help me get my name out into the marketplace as I was looking for jobs. I'm going to tell you, I'm sure it had pretty much no effect on my success or why I'm standing in front of you here today. But it was a great experience and really helped me dive into what was happening in the world of clean tech. But that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. My path into energy efficiency at the beginning, but then also the path that energy efficiency is on in California, because I think it's heading in a pretty exciting direction. I'm going to apologize in advance for my very poor PowerPoint clip art skills, but I wanted to demonstrate my perception of my own career path, which took a pretty dramatic turn about 8 or 9 years ago. I graduated from college in the mid-90s, and I took what I would consider a fairly standard path into technology. I started out as a consultant in IT at Price Waterhouse. And then I moved on to Netscape, and I'm going to pause. I wasn't going to say this, but I will tell you. I don't know if you all know, you are sitting in what was Netscape's corporate campus. And I actually worked in the building across the way there, and Netscape's cafeteria was over here. So I'm a little thrown being here in this building today. But I did, in fact, work at Netscape when I came out of grad school, which was acquired by AOL, which then I went to WebMD. And then I finally ended up at Navtech, which was a driving technology, mapping technology company. Navtech was a pretty big turning point for me, primarily because it was a horrible experience. I won't tell you all the details. If you want to talk to me offline, I'm happy to share. Suffice it to say, I've never cried so much in frustration in my whole life as I did in my 1 year working at Navtech. And so it was time for me to figure out, what am I going to do next? Where am I going with my life? Perfect timing. It was 2008. Big moment in 2008, Barack Obama was running for office. And one of his key position points was on the push into clean technology. And I was listening to him, I was all fired up, and I was thinking, a lot of things happening, a lot of investment happening in clean technology. There was also a huge investment happening in smart meters. And a lot of people were talking about how smart meters and the network of smart meters were going to be similar to the birth of the internet. And I still believe that. It still hasn't quite come to fruition, but that was the thinking at the time. And so I said, maybe I need to move into clean tech. Big right turn in my career, and I found a job at SunPower. I was a contract employee there in their marketing department, and at this point, it was 2009, economic downturn. SunPower let go of all their contractors, wrote my blog, found myself at PG&E. Again, blog did not get me to PG&E, but I wound up at PG&E, and 6.5 years later, still there. Primarily, I started out in a product management-like role there, and have been working in energy efficiency for the last 3 years, always on the customer. But in general, I've always been on the customer side and the program side of PG&E. I find, and I'm pretty happy with where my career landed at that point. One thing, though, about moving into energy efficiency that I found, it is the least sexy place to be in clean tech. I don't know why people are so hard on energy efficiency. It's so 1970s. And I've had a real hard problem getting around that, because I've actually told people in parties, I work in energy efficiency, and they say, oh yeah, my neighbor just put in solar. And my head explodes, but that's how some people think about energy efficiency. And I found that it's helped the solar industry tremendously. As they do their own marketing, they have such clear messaging. It's very easy to market solar. I just pulled these. I did a random search and pulled these very quickly. And it has so much of a sexiness to it. They're actually marketing sex and solar, which I find amazing. And so it's just incredible to me how cool other things are and how uncool energy efficiency is, especially because in California especially, but I think all around the world, it's considered in renewable spaces the first fuel, right? The cheapest thing you can do in energy is not use the energy at all. That makes it very impactful and very important. And to the effect that when you measure it, when you look at the energy of the costs, and this is a kind of a hard to read chart, this is trying to compare all the different kinds of energy uses out there and the cost of it in an apples to apples comparison. And you can see energy efficiency is near zero. Yet when you see solar, it's actually very expensive. And part of the reason, for those of you who might be a little bit confused by that, is this is unsubsidized. So solar is often subsidized, which is why it often appears cheap. Is subsidized, which often appears cheaper. But this is pretty compelling to me. It's the cheapest thing you can do, yet it's the least cool. Before I go too much further, though, I wanted to pause because I'm not sure everybody actually knows exactly what energy efficiency is, because some of you might be saying, yeah, I have solar, I'm done. So I wanted to show you very quickly, what is energy efficiency? It is using less energy for the same system. So taking your incandescent light bulb and switching it to a CFL a few years ago with that awful, awful light that came off your CFL, that's energy efficiency. And changing it over to an LED after that, of course, is even more, doing it even more. And there are many, many more technologies out there: motors, compressors, boilers, HVAC systems, it goes on and on. And when I say I work in energy efficiency, what that means is that I connect customers with these technologies. And many states incent customers to do this, or incent their people to do it, because it's so effective in terms of costs. And in California, those incentive programs are primarily run by the utilities. At PG&E, for example, we have a goal every year. All the major utilities often have a goal of efficiency they have to achieve every year. Our goal is 650 gigawatt hours this year. 650 gigawatt hours is approximately-ish the amount of a power plant in a year, the amount of usage that a power plant creates, or power that a power plant creates in a year. So that's a lot of energy use that we have to reduce every year just in Northern California, and then there's also Southern California and so on. That's a big goal, but it's one that's pretty inspiring to me. But perhaps you're still yawning. Oh, energy efficiency. So as I move forward and go past this one, this is the story that sold me. This is often called in California the Art Rosenfeld curve. He is considered the grandfather of energy efficiency in California because in the 70s, he started the movement to introduce efficiency into state policy, primarily through building codes that over time California has ratcheted up how buildings are built in California to be more and more efficient. There's also rules for appliances, standards for appliances, and then that's what led to the establishment of the utility efficiency programs as well. So you can see that California has flattened its energy use per capita since 1970, while in the rest of the United States it has doubled. Now you can see off into the 2000s, the rest of the country is flattening out because everybody started to learn from everybody at how to do it. But I think this is a really compelling story to California. And what I will add on is that the Natural Resources Defense Council estimates that 50 power plants were not built in California because of this work. That's huge. And that's to me, all you need to know and the story. So I'm pretty pumped about it. But the question is, what's next? We've reached this great place. We're flat. What's the next big story in California? How do we do more? I don't know how many of you follow California legislation, but how many of you heard of Senate Bill 350 that was passed last year? Oh, good. A good amount of you. The primary reason why most people are familiar with Senate Bill 350 is because it established a new renewable portfolio standard for California that we have to reach 50% of our power source to be renewable instead of 33%. So we're at 50% now. But there was also other legislation that was attached to it, which is that we needed to increase our efficiency in buildings by 50%, which in other words says we have to double our efficiency in existing buildings. That is huge. That's really exciting and really daunting for those of us who are running these efficiency programs. We're starting to run around and say, how do we double our efficiency? And especially, how do we do it without doubling our costs? Because we don't want to just have to pay out more incentives to get more and more people to be efficient. We want to learn how to be scalable and really grow our programs. So that's big activity happening in California, number one. Number two, specifically for Northern California, was a big announcement that came out in June. PG&E is closing the last nuclear plant in California. Some of you are excited about that, some of you aren't. I'm not going to get into the politics of nuclear. It is a carbon-free energy source. But when you look at PG&E's power mix, right now it is 23% of the power that we deliver to Northern California. So how do you replace all of that power? One of the biggest commitments that was made in part of the filing that we sent to our regulator is that starting in 2018, PG&E is going to deliver an additional 2,000 gigawatt hours of energy reduction from 2018 through 2024, and then possibly an additional 2,000 after that, starting in 2025. Remember when I told you that my one-year goal is 650? This is an illustration of what we're looking at. Blue is my current goal. Red is what happens with SB 350 if even half of that doubling lands on PG&E's lap. And green is Diablo Canyon shutting down on top of that. So we're basically completely almost doubling what we do. And I am pretty fired up about it. I am pretty excited about it. And part of the reason why I'm so excited about it is we're looking at a lot of innovations on how to make this and do this not just with the same old lighting rebate, not with the same old refrigerator rebate, but we're looking at things like behavioral savings. A lot of you probably have heard of our O-Power energy reports that people do. So how do you nudge people to make a change? O-Power energy reports are just the beginning of what behavior change can be around energy efficiency. Everybody turning off lights, everybody using less in a concerted way in a building makes a huge difference. We're looking at financing in a different way. How do you use alternative financing mechanisms and actually find private capital that is floating out there and wants to invest in the energy efficiency industry and just hasn't figured out how? How do we make that available to them? And maybe we even use financing as the incentive instead of using it along with the incentive. We're also looking at some other things around using our smart meters, our huge smart meter network we put out there. How do we use the meter to measure that the use has gone down without doing all these additional calculations? And I'm not going to bore you all with the weedy stuff about it, but there's a really new exciting frontier around using smart meters, how we measure our efficiency. Overall, I am pretty pumped about this and pretty excited about the direction that energy efficiency is going in California. And I am so excited that my path, my career path, intersected with that path. It's a great new future, and it's hard to believe from my little Decoding Cleantech blog. Here, I'm standing here in front of you today. It was a great thing to revisit, and I'm glad I found it as part of this talk, and I can't wait to go on the path in front of me. So thank you.